Okay, thank you very much for coming to this session, everybody. My name is Rich Flight, and I'm going to be running this session of bat roosts in trees, and how we'll identify some of the features that you might find where you might find bats in. I've been doing ecology for probably about 10 years now, and specialising in bats. This is my specialism, and I do a lot of work with trees as well. So hopefully I'll be able to answer your questions. Hopefully I'll be able to teach you a few things this afternoon. Okay, just in terms of a little bit of housekeeping, we're in the meeting room here. If you need the toilet, it's just out through the doors there, straight in front of you. The front door's obviously there, so in a fire emergency, we'll go through there. And I don't believe there's any fire drills scheduled today. We've got refreshments here in terms of water, so if anybody needs some water, then just dig in. And if you do smoke, then please wait until the end. We're not going to be here for very long. So yeah, I don't want you sparking up in the middle of the session, please. Okay, so just to introduce ourselves a little bit, just go around the group, and I'd just like to hear who you are, and then a little bit of what experience you've got with bats, basically, in particular with trees. Okay, so we start here.
Hello, my name's Curtis. Not a lot of knowledge really about it, and it's something that I definitely would like to get involved in more.
Have you ever seen a bat in a tree or found a bat in a tree?
No, never in a tree.
No?
Houses, yes, never a tree.
Okay, excellent. Okay.
I'm Bex, and I've been an ecologist for over 10 years, and I'd like to learn more about bats in trees specifically.
Excellent.
I'm Jack. I've been an ecologist for about a year now. Seen plenty of bats in buildings, but not really many in trees, so I feel like it's kind of something that needs exploring more, and there's not a lot of knowledge about it, so yeah, all helps. Excellent.
So we've got no experts in the room. We're going to start heckling and telling me I'm saying the wrong things, basically. So today, as I say, it's specifically about bats and trees. Okay, so the aims of the session are for you guys at the end of the session to be able to identify some features of trees where you might find bats. Okay, and to be able to give an understanding as to why they might be in those locations and how you can find them. Okay, we're not going to go through all the what to do if you do find bats or things like that. It's just literally the simple act of where might bats be in a tree, basically. Okay, so bats roost quite readily in buildings. Okay, some of you guys have obviously seen bats in buildings and experienced that. They can congregate in quite large numbers in buildings, but in trees it's quite different. Okay, trees the bats use them quite differently. They normally are in trees in much lower numbers. Okay, so the bats that we might get in buildings, for example, we get soprano pipistrelle bats, which are in this county in Cumbria. We've got roosts of over 2,000 bats in single roost there. Okay, so really big roosts of bats, but in a tree, you just literally can't get that many bats in there. Okay, so in trees, your numbers are much fewer. Okay, so we tend to get smaller roosts, and we get different roosts. So the roosts you get in those big roosts, they're maternity roosts, where all the females are having their babies, and in trees, you get less of those and more individual bats hanging around in ones, twos, and small congregations. So that means they can be a lot harder to find. Okay, they're also much more transient. Okay, so what would I mean by transient? What do I mean by transient in terms of
move around.
Move around, yeah. Okay, so they're going to move locations much more often, and they're going to, not maybe stay in the same roost all summer like bats do sometimes in buildings. Okay, so let's have a just think. In terms of roosting bats, what do bats require from a roost? Let's have some ideas. I haven't got a flip chart. I've got a big bit of paper here. So
Warmth.
Warmth, excellent.
Dryness.
Warmth, excellent. Dryness.
Does it need to be dark?
Dark, yeah, that's a good one. Why does it need to be dark?
That's a good question.
That's a red light.
Why don't much like light?
Hurts their lights.
There's a rise. Yeah. No, not the term, yeah. So, I mean, they aren't used to being in the dark. They're not designed to be in the light. But we'll move back to that in a second. Okay, so we've got warmth, dryness and dark. What else can we think of?
Safe from predators.
Excellent, yes. Okay, so that's that. I was kind of going to touch on that with the darkness case. The safety from predators. Why is that so important for a bat, do you think?
It's hard to see them if it's dark.
Hard to see them if it's dark, yeah. But why is it important for a bat to be safe from predators?
Because
They're
they're
delicate.
alive, yeah.
Because of what?
Won't be alive.
Will be alive, yeah, but particularly bat as opposed to maybe a fox or a
They're
badger.
delicate.
They're delicate, yeah,
Small.
absolutely. Okay, so the bats in our country, they're all very small. Okay, so the pipistrelle bat, this size, weighs about 5 grams. It's not very good at protecting itself. Okay, so its only defence really is some very small teeth, which are big enough to eat midges, but not really big enough to protect itself from things. So bats are very, very vulnerable to predation. Okay, so safety is a critical one. And the darkness thing, okay, can anyone think how darkness plays into that? Why does darkness play into the safety?
Can't be seen.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so if you can't be seen by day predators, then they probably won't find you. Okay, so if it's dark in a location, they can't find you. If it's small in a location, they can't get to you, and therefore you're safe. Okay, any other ideas? So we've got warmth, dark, dryness, and safety at the moment.
Good flight lines in.
Excellent, yeah. So what do you mean by flight line?
Like clear, so like they don't have to like swoop underneath the branch, then climb, then go up and then go in.
Yeah.
They can just get in straight away if they want.
Brilliant, so we've got flight line stroke access. Okay, so good, easy access. Okay, do you think the access is more important when they're flying in or flying out?
Flying.
In.
I was going to say out.
Bex, why do you think in?
Because it could be like trying to either escape something or like they just want to get in and stop expending energy. So
Okay.
just be quick
Yeah.
to get in.
And Jack, why do you think flying out?
Basically the opposite. When they're coming out, they want a nice clear path. They can just straight off and hopefully not get picked off by anything.
Brilliant. So both really good points. And what we tend to find with bats is that when they fly out of somewhere, they do just go hell for leather around it because they don't know what predators are going to be out there. When they go in, they hang around a lot more. They go zooming around, and they land on the feature of the tree or on the building, and then fly away again. So they're much more confident because they know what's around. So when they're flying out is when they're probably most likely to be picked off by predators. Okay. Any other ideas? Let's see what I've got on mine. Right. Yeah.
And they're a good food source.
Food source, yeah, brilliant. I think the bats eat whilst they're in their roosts, or you're just talking about being near a food source?
A bit of both, I suppose.
Yeah?
Obviously bringing food in depending on how big the food is.
Yeah, could do, yeah. So they could bring
So
food
like
in.
butterflies and trying to bring in butterflies which are obviously bigger than midges if they're that sort of size.
Yeah, but they tend not to eat in their main day roosts, but it is certainly good for them to be near a food source. So a species like a brown long-eared bat tends to only be about 250 to 500 metres away from a woodland where it can get good food. So yeah, brilliant. What else have we got? So we've got warmth. Okay, got warmth up here. That's the first one that Beck's going on with. I'm going to put stroke insulation. Why insulation?
So that it stays a constant temperature, maybe?
And what time of year would that be? Most
I was thinking hibernation, yeah.
Hibernation, yeah. So bats roost in trees both in the summer, when it's nice and warm, but also in the winter when they're hibernating. And in the winter, the tree actually acts as a good insulation source. Okay, so wood's quite, what the word for it would be, it's good at insulating, a thick bit of wood is quite insulating. It doesn't conduct heat very easily. Okay, so it's great for that. What else we got? So I've got on my list, I've got space. Okay, space or lack of space. Okay, so we talked about the fact that bats need protection. They're quite small spaces, not big open cavities. So space.
What about like access to like, I don't know, mates, I guess?
To other, access to other bats?
For social, basically.
Yeah. Okay, so what can we call that? I suppose that kind of space to some extent in terms of it being large enough to allow other bats in to have a social kind of scenario. So yeah, we do get obviously different types of roosts just used by one bat, and roosts used by a few bats. No, that's excellent. Okay, that's pretty much what I've got. I've got shelter, security, insulation, dryness, space, quietness. Okay, so I mean bats don't particularly like it when it's noisy. Access to food, which is what Curtis said, and easy access, good flying, which Beck says. So brilliant, nice one. So those are kind of key features that a feature of a tree needs to have. Okay, and we have those in buildings, and buildings are quite good for bats, but we're looking at trees today. Now, if we look at the types of features, there are quite a lot of types of features. I haven't got time to go through them all today. Okay, we'll look at the key features, the features that are most useful for bats. Okay, so we're going to start the slideshow. Okay, so we look at woodpecker holes. All right, woodpecker holes are a classic location where you get bats in. They quite often look quite impressive in terms of they're quite obvious on the trees, therefore the places that most people looked for bats in, and quite often found them. And then they do roost in them. I've got here the recorded use by quite a few different species: Beckstones, Dorventons, Liselers, Nocturnal Natterers, Primary Pipistrelle, and brown-eyed bats. Okay, so they've all been recorded using woodpecker holes. Now, can anyone tell me whether what kind of shape a woodpecker hole tends to be? What goes in?
Goes in and then down.
Goes in, goes down, excellent. Yeah, so birds' nests always go downwards. Okay, woodpecker hole is no exception. But bats like to roost upwards. Okay, so not all woodpecker holes will be perfect for bats, but they are still used. And do woodpeckers kind of excavate their nest in any tree? Do you know?
No.
No.
What kind of tree
Tend
would
to
that
like
be?
conifers.
Could be conifers, yeah, quite often conifers.
Hardwood.
Could be. I'm thinking less specific in terms of species.
Sort of like mature trees.
Yeah, they have to be already rotted. Okay, so a woodpecker will only excavate a hole in an already rotted tree. So the centre of the tree will already have rotted back. So that means that they can excavate nice and easily, but it also means that there's a good chance that it's rotting upwards, and therefore bats can go up as well. Okay, so if we have a look, this wasn't playing on first go on, so we will. Okay, here's a woodpecker hole, and this is taken with an endoscope, which is the kind of, I've got one over there, camera we use to look for bats. Once we get in the hole, we can see a bunch of bats. So these are Dorventons bats, and interestingly, these little black spots over here, these are bat mites. Okay, specific to bats. Alright, so if you're looking in a feature and you find those, that's a key feature to tell you that bats have been in there, even if the bats haven't. Even if bats aren't, sorry. So it's a way of identifying that bats have been in there. They're specific to Dorventons and Beckstones bats, so you can actually determine the species from them as well. So yeah, that's a group of Dorventons, and that's a maternity roost. Okay, so that is a group of females all having their babies in one location. Right, so that hole was obviously big enough to allow, probably, I can't remember the count now, but it's plus 10, 15 bats in there. Okay, we've got knocked holes. Alright, so a knocked hole, basically, just to make sure everybody understands, a knocked hole is when a tree has elected to seal off a limb, probably because it's low on one of the lower areas of the tree, not getting enough light, and therefore it's not really producing much photosynthesis, and therefore elects to seal it off, and it will drop that limb eventually. Okay. Now here we can see two knot holes that have lost their limbs, and then this one, which has still got the dead stub still in it, and that will fall out eventually. But as you can see from a photo here of me inspecting it, even before it's fallen out, there's still potential for bats because you get a little crevice coming down the side of the stub there, and then obviously when it falls out, you get a big hole. And this crevice can be just as good for bats. Okay, so knot holes can be really good for bats as well. This one is actually one that our colleague Emma found years ago, before I even worked with her, and it goes all the way up the tree, and the little naturalist was in that feature. Okay, now this one you can see the widely used again: Beckstones, Liselers, Dorventons, Naturals, Nocturnal, Primary Pipistrelle, brown rolling bats. Lots of species used on that. Any questions about knot holes? We've got a video here. Oh, there's another photo. This is one that there's a single bat in here. We should have the video of it. Get to work. Okay. So this is one of the ones where you've got the stub still in there. That's the stub of the limb still in the knot hole, and just down the side of it, Your little naturalist back there, just sat on his own. Okay, so you can see it's a very small, small gap there. It doesn't need to be very big to allow it in. And I don't know whether you noticed, but inside that feature, it was quite clean and dry, wasn't it? There wasn't lots of mess in there, not lots of spider webs, no wood lice. So quite often, if you do actually look in a feature and you find that it's really clean, really smooth, maybe a bit shiny, that can be a good indication that the bats are in there, or have been in. Okay, tear outs. Okay, a bit of jargon here, but it basically just means it's a place where the tree has been torn. Okay, this one here is just an example, okay, just to show you what happens. The stub of the limb gets pulled out and then pulls the bark down and tears it. Okay, this one was sealed up a little bit. On this one there wasn't actually any bats in that particular feature, but it does show the effect. And this one is really low down. Okay, so the limb's been torn off really low down, and in this it actually had a group of about 5 brown-eyed bats in it. Okay, that close to the ground. And that's one thing that people quite often don't think about. The small trees, so about that wide, they're really close to the ground. Okay, but yeah, it's used by dog bentons, naturalists, lizards, and brown-eyed bats. Okay, so what normally happens with this? The bark here, or the bark, the inside of the tree has been suddenly exposed to fungus, to bacteria, to basic pathogens, and that will then rot. With a knot hole, the tree's decided, the tree's elected to seal off the limb, and therefore it can seal off and it won't rot back quite so readily. Whereas anything that suddenly exposes the tree to pathogens has much more chance of rotting. And once that rots back, that's starting to make locations for the bat. Obviously this bit here, there's no chance of there being a bat there, but if that then rots up into there, now we start to get a bat roost. Okay, and then this is the classic example. The rot goes up there, and it started to seal over the sides a little bit and make a nice tight gap. Not going to get any, I don't know, not going to get predators in there really, unless they're very, very small. Okay, I think we have a video of that roost on the right there, here. Okay, that was not working. One time. Never mind. Okay. And then finally, for today, for features we'll look at today, we've got hazard beams. Okay, so these are when the limb of a tree has been bent, excessively bent, and actually the two sides of it have split apart from each other. Okay, and it's normally on a lateral basis. Okay, it doesn't tend to happen that way, but they've been bent downwards, because if you think about the way a tree grows, generally grows bending upwards, which means that the bottom is actually slightly longer than the top, okay, in terms of surface area. But if you bend it, you're now asking the top to be longer than the bottom, and the bottom to be shorter than the top. And they struggle with that, and in fact they just pull apart and pop open. So we get this split down the middle of the tree, and it pops open, and it can stay pretty strong afterwards, but the inside, again, slightly exposed to pathogens, might rot back, and you get a really good feature. And this is used by lots of different species of bat. Okay, and again, we can get this video to work and see. There's a single common pipistrelle just in the end. You see, this is actually quite a fresh one, because you can see all the connective fibres are still there. When they get old, all those will rot back, because they'll be dead tissue, and they'll go. So this is actually relatively fresh, hasn't been that bat's taken up using. Okay, so any questions about those features? We've only looked at 4, there are lots more, but they're the main ones you can look out for. Any questions about those so far? Okay, so just quickly to think about what we might be looking for. Okay, if we're out looking for bats, obviously a bat itself. I don't know if you can tell, there is a naturalist bat just there, and that you can see from the outside, it's just shining towards you. Not very common though. Quite rare you would actually bump into a bat when you're in a tree. That's an exception to the rule really. But what you do get is you get smoothness, a kind of shininess where the bats have been rubbed over.
What does PRF stand for?
That's a very good point. PRF, I mean, potential roost feature.
Okay.
Okay, so potential roost feature is the feature. I've just been calling it a feature, but we call it a PRF, a potential roost feature. until we determine there's definitely bat, because it's got potential to be a roost. Okay? Are we happy with that?
It's going to run out of battery.
Okay. We also get droppings. If you look underneath a potential roost feature, you might find droppings if you're lucky. Okay, you have a scour underneath. This is obviously underneath feature, but she landed on a leaf, so that's quite. It's quite a good landing place for it to stay. And you can find it. Cobwebs are very good as well. You can find them on cobwebs as well because they hold them and get away from the tree. Sound. You can hear bats in a feature when they're in there. If they're in there in numbers. Okay, so not ones and twos. And smell. You have to get really close up. If you have to get personal with the tree, basically, you have to get really quite close in with the tree to get the smell. But if you get your nose in, you can properly smell the bats if they're there or have been there recently. And finally, staining. Okay, now normally you don't get a big stain like this. This isn't actually from the bats. This is from water coming out. But you can get a little bit of staining both inside and outside the tree. Okay, and again, not massively common. You can see the scratches on the inside again. Okay. Now, what I've got for you now is a task you want to do. I have a printout here of some trees. Okay. All I want to do is Jackie got a pen. Got a pen here. I've got a third pen.
It's okay, I've got a pen.
You've got a pen. Okay, excellent. So what I'm going to do is just go through the pictures and see if you can determine from what I've told you today, see if you can work out where the possible roost features would be. Just put a ring around them and then we'll have a look in a minute, see what we've done. Okay, so you. So let's put it there. So don't take very long, just have a quick look at it, look at the tree. Hopefully the printouts are clear enough. Some of them are easier than others, I will say. And you get extra kind of like kudos points if you pinpoint any actual bat roosts. There's not bat roosts in each one. Some of them are just trees. How do you think, Curtis?
Yeah, right, I think.
Quite a lot of pictures are. A lot of places.
It's so glossy.
What's that?
The paper's really glossy, so it's
Yeah.
a shame.
Can there be more than one in one tree?
Absolutely, yeah. Totally.
That box.
That box. Well done, actually. So that absolutely could be a feature.
If there's a bat box in a tree, then would it be more likely that there are bats in the area, or could it just be a friendly person's put one up?
Exactly, yeah. Could be either, couldn't it? Could be somebody put them up for a reason, or somebody just put them up because they like bats. But yeah, it's obviously always worth checking. What kind of, just whilst you're doing that, what kind of features can you see in the photos?
Not holes.
Not holes, yeah.
Limb drop thing.
Yeah.
The tear.
Tear.
Yeah.
Has it been?
Oh, excellent. Who can't see the hazard beam? Who did not see the hazard beam? There's only one there, I believe. Yeah, Curtis, you've got it. Excellent. Well done. That's a beautiful hazard beam. I want to go and respect that whole name. I never expect it's like a triple decker hazard beam. Nice one, Bex, well done. Okay, I'm going to give you 10 more seconds. And we'll see from my master copy here how many you did. Right. We'll stop there then. Happy, Jack?
Yeah.
I'm convinced you're going to find one each one. Some are quite difficult,
yeah.
both in printout but also in terms of photos. So okay, so we'll just go through and call out some we find. So who? Picture up. So who found a feature in the first one?
Yeah.
Jack, what did you find? What
Uh,
did you find?
I think it's a knotable top right.
Top right on that limb coming off there.
yeah.
Yeah, excellent. There's actually a couple. Well, there's probably about 3 on that limb, isn't there? If you look closely.
Yeah.
Let's call one larger one. Okay. Anybody else find any others? Now that tree actually is there. There are 3 roosts in that tree, and that's not one of them. That one, but I don't think you can really see the roost very well in that photo.
There's a few like knocked off branches and stuff.
Yeah. That's yeah. That's about the feature I was looking for on that one. Okay, excellent. So next one, you can see the tree amongst the woodland. You can see one there. Bex, do you find any there?
Yeah, just kind of it's dropped its limbs
Yeah.
probably twice.
Excellent. So you've got like a tear out, and you've also got some knot holes.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 features there in total. Got one at the union between the 2 limbs, one halfway up the left-hand one, and then one towards the top of the left-hand limb. Nice one. Okay, Curtis, did you find any in the 3rd photo? Probably one of the worst photos I put in, so I apologise for that.
Yeah, I think there was a knot hole on the left-hand limb.
Yeah, well done.
There. But that was it. That was all. I could
Okay.
find. That one.
There are a few more in there if you look really closely, but there's a knot hole on the first limb on the right, and there's one in the middle. And this one you can actually see 2 back roosts, but only if you know they're there. So we won't hold that against you. Okay, 4th picture then. Was it 3 now? Call out. Anybody see anything there?
Knot hole.
Knot
on the
hole.
right limb.
Yeah.
And knot hole on like a left branch towards the top.
Super duper. Well done. And
It's like a tear, the branches falling or something as well.
on that same one.
On the right side.
Excellent. Oh, the camera's just switched off. Actually, still
Yeah.
going on. Thank you very much. Okay, let's have a look at this one then. I think there's only one feature in this photo.
Look at that bit where it's split. Just
Oh.
in the bottom right corner.
That's
I
what
think
I
it's just
thought.
shadow.
Well. It looks
Can
like
anybody see anything on the main? So, you can quite often tell by how I've taken the photo, obviously. Bex, what have you found?
Is it like in the middle? It's kind of.
Picture above. Picture above.
Oh,
That one.
then no. I'll look again.
Main limb, go through the picture, through the middle of the picture. Let me see anything on that. This limb here.
there's a tear out.
Yeah.
There we go. Well done, Curtis. Yeah, underneath there's a nice tear out. Can't remember anything back in that one, but yeah. Okay, let's skip the next. Well, actually no, Bex, what did you find in the next one?
Back box.
A bat box. Excellent. We didn't look at bat boxes, David. It's quite obviously you need to look at bat boxes if you're out.
Where is that little bit where that branch was.
Yes, and then there's dead limb. Excellent. Okay, let's go to right the next one down then, or here. What did you find on this one here?
Tear out.
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
Basically middle of the main limb.
Brilliant. Yeah, so this one is almost sealed up. Okay, it's almost completely sealed up. Quite difficult to get endoscope into the feature, but means that it's a really nice, secure location if a bat were to live in there, as long as it's still got an opening. In a few years' time, that tree will probably have sealed that completely up, and you'll just have a kind of seam essentially. All right. Okay. Next one, I think you can probably spot the roost if you got your eyes in, because it's the most obvious roost. Anybody tell me what the next one is?
Is it the branches that have snapped off at the top?
Oh no, it's not, Jack.
They're not all in the middle.
Say again?
Not all in the middle.
Yes, there you go, 10 points. So knot hole in the middle, on the main trunk. This is a site of 20 nocturnal bats. And nocturnal bats are our biggest bat, about that big. So yeah, they're all crammed in there.
It does look a bit stainy actually, if you look closely.
Yeah,
If I'm looking at the right
yes,
place.
it's a little bit clean as well. A bit different colour from the rest of the tree. Okay, and finally, let's go to the bottom right picture here. What feature? Can you see the bottom right picture?
The tear.
tear. It's not a tear.
Hazard beam.
Hazard beam, yeah. This is our triple decker hazard beam. It's a quality feature. This is up at Elterwater, and I don't have the permission to climb it, so I can't. But one day I will. Just go cover of darkness, but then I'll be out. So excellent, well done. Super job. Yeah, we've got most of them. A nice picture of Emma there in the bottom left. Yes.
Always nice.
Okay, so just to recap what we learned then. Bats roost in trees quite differently from the way they roost in buildings. So you're not looking at the same kinds of locations. You're looking for much smaller locations. Why do they need to be smaller? Can you tell me?
Because trees are smaller.
Trees are small, yeah, true, yeah. But why do features need to be small in trees?
Some better protection.
Better protection, yeah. Okay, because buildings provide quite a lot of protection. It's not the same level of wildlife in a building as you might get out in trees, but the trees, you know, the small features are often the ones that are used. Okay, so quite different. The features, there's lots of different features that you can get bats in. We've been through a few. Who can tell me which features we looked at today? Give me some names of the features.
Hazard beam.
Hazard beam, excellent. And what's a hazard beam?
It's where the tree's bent in the wrong way almost, and it pops open along.
Yeah.
Laterally.
Perfect explanation, thank you. Jack, can you give me one?
Tear out.
Tear out. What's a tear out?
Where a branch has maybe had a bit much weight and it swaps off, but in the process strips the bark from the tree.
Fantastic. Yeah, so you literally just get a tear as it comes out, I suppose. Where the name comes from?
And then knot hole.
Knot hole.
Yeah.
So what's a knot hole then?
Where the tree decides to lose the limb.
Yeah.
And leaving a hole in there where it could rot inside and the branch fall off.
Perfect. So lot of knot holes actually get you quite excited to look at when you're thinking, oh, I might find a feature. You get there and it goes back that far because that's what the tree's done. It's literally just sealed itself off and protected itself.
And woodpecker
one
holes.
more, and woodpecker hole. Well done, Bex. So yeah, woodpecker hole, and obviously that's where a woodpecker has built a hole. But what's special about a woodpecker hole in terms of the rottenness of the tree?
Has to be rotten.
Has to be rotten for a woodpecker to excavate in the first place. So that's key indication you've got some rot in there, because to be honest, bats basically roost in the rotten sections of trees. So that's what we're looking for, really. Excellent. Well done, everyone. Okay. Any questions about anything I've gone through in this session?
It's not specific about what you've gone through the session,
Yeah.
but say I am just a non-licensed bat ecologist,
Yes.
and I'm toddling out on a survey and I see a tree that's got a woodpecker hole that I can access from the ground.
Mm.
Am I allowed to go and look in it?
Poke things in it.
I wouldn't poke things in it, but like say I happen to have an endoscope on me because I was
Yeah.
looking down badger holes or something. What's the thing where you,
If you're unlicensed,
Yeah.
I would recommend just using a torch,
okay,
basically. So, and using an endoscope is covered under the Class 2 license, and which is what I have. If you're intentionally going to look into a feature because you think there's bats,
then
then
that's
that would be
licensed.
contravening the law, basically. You could shine a torch in there, just have a look, and you wouldn't really be doing anything.
I suppose you could see if it was smooth and all the other things,
You
even
see if it
you didn't
goes
see
from
that
the start,
then.
because it might not go anywhere. If tree surveyors use an endoscope just to have a look inside the tree, that's slightly different if they suddenly turn up bats, because they're looking for a different purpose. Anybody going out with the intention of disturbing bats needs to have a license, basically. Good question. Any other questions? No? Okay, well thank you very much for coming. I hope you learned something. Before you leave today, I would like, if you could, just to fill out a feedback form. That would be excellent of you. So tell me anything I can improve on in this session. But otherwise, thank you very much, and safe journey home.